So I'm just going to introduce myself, tell you a little bit of what I do, and then why I'm doing this, just in case you don't know me. But if you know me, bear with me. I know you already know me. You've heard my spiel like 15 million times, but I'm just going to say it to again for the benefit of people who are just joining us for the first time, so that they're not just like, what is this? Who is this person trying to do what and whatnot? So my name is Dr. Itunde Adeomi. I have a bachelor's degree in microbiology. I got my bachelor's degree at Babcock University in Nigeria. Right after I finished my NYC, because I know that majority of us here are Nigerians, I moved to the US to start my PhD degree. So I didn't do a master's. I just went straight from bachelor's to a PhD. Um, I finished my PhD in the fall or December of 2019, and now I work with New York State Department of Health, where I what do I do? I do a lot of work, but basically I do vaccine development research where I test the potency and the efficacy of vaccines before they go out to the marketplace. So before all the vaccines we are taking today, there are a lot of things that happen underground, all the formulations. You make sure that all formulations are right, and that you're not going to die when you take the vaccines, how potent is it? What is the dosage that needs to go out to the people before it goes out to the public? So all of that, I do that. That's what I basically do. I started staying bio this year because I feel like a lot of biologists or life scientists in Nigeria don't really have, they don't have a lot of knowledge about what they can do with their degree right after school. So you see that a lot of people, just go to school. And I don't know if it's upbringing or whatever, but I know that schooling abroad has really shown me how things are done over here. They don't just let you go without, informing you of all the possibilities that are available to you. So that right before you graduate, there is a plan for you. You know what you're going to do. You know what is, based on your capacity and where you want to go, okay, this is the route I'm going to take, or this is not the route that I'm going to take. And specifically for life sciences in Nigeria, we're at that disadvantage where, they just pump us with all that knowledge, everything, you just cram and pour. All we're just concerned about is the fact that I want to pass, we want to finish with the first class or the 2-1 or the 2-2 or whatever, and we'll get a job. That's kind of how I was. I was just like, you know what, I want to pass. When I pass, I'm going to get my degree. And it was my brother that was like, what do you mean you want to get a job after you graduate? I'm like, I'll get a job. He's like, get a job where? What are your prospects? What do you need to get a job? I'm like, I just want to make money. So, I had that mentorship in my life. He was the one that came in and literally mapped out my life. And he was like, Yetunde, based on things that you like doing, I like to teach a lot. I like talking to people. I have a good gift with explaining things to people in a way that they can completely understand it. He was like, oh, why don't you go to PhD? You might want to go into academia. I'm like, me, PhD. I didn't want to read anymore. I don't like studying. I don't want it. Right. And he was like, he said that to me. And then he told me that, oh, PhD wasn't like that. It's just like a job. The moment I heard job, it was like, what music to my ears. I was like, hey, job sounds good. And he was like, you probably get paid if you get a scholarship. You just do research, you have your own office. It's like, okay, that sounds great. So right when I was in 400 level, I want to check if Joy is already here so that I can stop giving you my spiel and we can just jump right in. So in my when I was in 400 level, I already started taking my GRE because I knew I wanted to come to the US or Canada. So I started taking my GRE. I started doing all the necessary exams so that right after school or right after my NYC, boom, I was just ready to go to grad school. It wasn't easy. I applied to about 7 schools in the US, several schools in Canada. I got a lot of denials, but they were happening to me at a time when I was doing my NYC. So it was kind of okay because I wasn't yet ready to go. Do you get? So it was okay. However, what you find is that a lot of you, or probably a lot of you on this chat, you don't start until you graduate. When you graduate, you're not like, oh, what do I do with my life now? Okay, now that I've graduated, let me start processing my admission. There's only one person in this world that I've heard that the first school she applied to, she got in, and that she came to speak for us. She was Nike that came to speak to us for USA. She only applied to one school and she got in. For me, that was not my case. For a lot of people, that's not always the case. And if you don't want that to be your situation where you're in a fix and you have a plan for your life and then things flop and you have to figure out what to do, it's better for you to start early. So this is why I kind of started doing Stay in Bio, to just kind of equip you with things that will help you, things that give you information that will help you prepare yourself for life after graduation. So you don't have to feel like, oh, there's nothing you can do with your degree. You can only go to job. I mean, you can only travel. You can only be a banker or go into entrepreneurship, especially if you really like biology. I'm not saying that entrepreneurship is bad or anything, but I'm saying you don't necessarily have to give up your degree because you don't know what to do. There's so many people doing fantastically well in Nigeria, fantastically well abroad. So what I just do is I just look for those people, I get them to talk to you, let them know what you should be doing now so that you can position yourself for life after graduation. One of our when we're last was it the last two sessions we had on USA, 21 people received scholarships. I mean, I haven't yet told them who is receiving the scholarship, but we're going to be working with them on all their applications. I'm not an application agent, so I don't know how to apply to schools and things like that, but I can help them. I can connect them with people that will be able to teach them how to do these things. So it's really fun what we're doing here. Join us with Stay in Bio. Right now on Instagram, we're trying to move Instagram and Facebook. We're trying to move to LinkedIn, and we're building a community so that you guys can be able to get internship opportunities. There's a lot under the wraps, but I'm just going to stop talking now. I just wanted to introduce myself to you, what I do. I'm a scientist primarily, but I just like helping people, the best way that I can. So without further ado, we're still waiting for our other speaker. I don't know what's going on. But I'm just going to introduce you to our speaker, Dr. Irene Fakun. And then we're just going to get started. She's more than capable to take all your questions. I'm trying to look for her so I can spotlight her for you guys. Now I can't find myself. All right, can everybody see both of us? Someone said they never get bored listening to me. Thank you. All right, let me introduce you to Dr. Irene. I like calling her Dr. Irene Facts. It's so cool. All right, so Dr. Irene Fakakun was born and raised in Lagos, Nigeria. She obtained her bachelor's degree in biochemistry from Bells University of Technology, Nigeria. She worked briefly as a quality control officer at a pharmaceutical company before taking a graduate assistantship position at Bells University. She then proceeded to the University of Nottingham in the UK, where she obtained a Master of Research degree in Advanced Genomic and Proteomic Sciences. While at Nottingham University, she developed an interest in bioenergy research and worked on the proteomics of Saccharomyces cerevisiae under stress conditions during the deconstruction of plant cell walls. She was involved in bioenergy outreach programs that resulted in public awareness and increased funding for her department. Wow. During the following 3 years, she worked as an assistant lecturer at the university. In September of 2015, she entered the Biosystems Engineering graduate program at the University of Manitoba in Winnipeg. She is a seasoned scientist, a teacher, and a communicator. She has been selected as one of the women to present her work at the Soapbox Science event in 2021, and she's an adjunct professor at Providence University College, Audubon. Wow. So these are the list of her degrees: University of Manitoba, PhD in Biosystems Engineering; University of Nottingham, MRes. Remember we talked about MRes and MSc, there's a difference. MRes in Advanced Genomic and Proteomic Sciences; Bells University, first class degree. Woohoo! She has received a bunch of awards such as International Graduate Students Entrance Scholarship, First Class Scholarship from the University of Manitoba, Developing Solutions Scholarship from the State Government of Nigeria in 2015, Pro Chancellor's Award for Best Graduating Female with Leadership Qualities from the University of Nottingham. She has a bunch of publications, up to 6 of them, and many more in the works. Give it up for Dr. Irene Fox. Woohoo! If you don't give it up for her, gosh, I'm just going to end this meeting right now. Let me see if Joy is here. Oh my God, what's going on with Joy? Let me see if she has messaged me. What is going on? I don't know. Something probably, I don't know. Give it up, give it up, give it up, give it up. Are you guys ready, ready, ready? If you're ready, let me know you're ready. Let me unmute Dr. Irene. My sister.
Hi, thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
All right, so we're just going to go straight into it. I want you to tell us just a little bit, a teaser before we start getting into the specifics of applying to graduate school. How was your journey? Because for me, a lot of people, like I said, I told you about that survey that I did in January, and over 100 people filled it. And they were all saying that they were afraid, they were going to give up on their degrees, even though they're smart, they're doing really well, because there are no job opportunities in Nigeria. Number one question, because you worked in Nigeria, is this really the truth? Are there no job opportunities for life sciences in Nigeria? How were you able to do it that you were able to retain your biology degree? For me, it was because I knew somebody that had me in mind, that was like, I mustn't give up on my degree. I had a first-class degree. I was very passionate about not giving up. I spent so much time reading. There was no way that I was going to give up on my, and you don't have to be a first class degree to be feeling this way, by the way, just disclaimer. But I knew how much work and time I had put into studying, and I just wasn't ready to give that up to go and work in a bank. Not saying it's bad, because definitely people have to pay their bills, but I just wanted to share just a little bit of your story with them to encourage them that there are jobs out there. There are people that are, opening up portals of application for them with their specific degrees, that they're really looking for them, so that they can come and join the fold. Please enlighten us, tell them, so that they won't give up. That's why we're here. So just tell us.
Thank you so much, Dr. Yetunde. So my story is a little different from yours, right? Because just like you, I didn't know what I was doing in the beginning. And then I also actually had the opportunity to work in a bank, but that was during NYSC. I didn't want to work in a bank, but I was posted to a bank. So people worked their posting to banks. I didn't want to, but again, I got the opportunity to work there, and I knew that I didn't want it. I think that it has something to do with our wiring. So if you're here, you're studying microbiology, biochemistry, there's a reason why you're doing it. There's something about your wiring, there's something about you that just wants to, contribute to knowledge, that wants to research. When I talk to many people that have done courses like that, it's really because at some point in life, they just thought, oh, I can find the cure for AIDS, or I can find the cure for that, or, that kind of thing. So you get to that point where you're like, if I worked we're using a bank now, not like banking is bad, but if I worked in an organization that is so structured that I'm not adding to knowledge, then it's not adding to me. You get bored, and you just get, you get to that point where you feel like you're not fulfilling yourself. It's no longer exciting, and that was it for me. And then for the job, for my first job post NYSC, which was as a quality control officer. So this was a place where I had done my IT. So I'm going to talk later about that, on relationships, So I didn't have to look for the job as such. You get. So it was a matter of, okay, I had worked here before and I knew people here, and I called them up. Do you understand? Mm-hmm. So it was a matter of leveraging the relationships that I already had. Right. And that was what gave me my first big break at the time. So that was it for me.
Wow, that's so amazing. What you said about it, I'm sure they're tired of hearing it now, where I'm just like, apart from the fact that, I always tell them that I'm bringing these people to you. It's an opportunity for you to leverage on this and follow them. right? Because one day when you need help, it might just be a matter of, hello, Dr. Irene, I'm trying to apply to the University of Manitoba. I'm not saying you should do this, but this is just how things work in real life. I was in that webinar where you came to speak. Do you know any professors, have you heard of any professors that are trying to accept students into their lab? I have tried with no success, and I'm just wondering if you have any tips that can help me. From there, even if she doesn't have anything, a link in University of Manitoba, she might have another link in University of Edmonton, and she's like, oh, I heard of this opportunity. I'm going to, link you to someone that I know that can help you. So relationships are so important. Aside from the fact that you're listening to these people, take note of their names. The fact that they've gotten to where they are, they might also be able to help you. Remember, that was one of the series that we had, that someone told us that people are generally nice, generally in quotes. If they can help you, they will help you. So 100% I hear you there. And I'm like that too. I don't like redundancy, where I'm just doing the same thing over and over again. That's why I cannot really work even in a lab in science that is just about testing blood samples and knowing if somebody has AIDS or not. I want to do research. Like, I want to be able to create things and find answers to questions. And recently I was working with an undergraduate that was trying to do an internship with me, and we were making monoclonal antibodies that had the ability to be able to detoxify a particular toxin. And we didn't know from the scratch what the monoclonal antibody was going to do. His role was to figure out the function of that monoclonal antibody. So we started creating assays, developing things to answer those questions. And now, like 6.5 weeks later, he has a bunch of, research that is showing that the monoclonal antibodies that he made is able to kill the bacteria, is able to, detoxify the toxins. So it's so important for me. That's what drives me. I'm not just yes, oh, you have malaria type of person, or no, you don't. I like answering questions. I like developing things. What I did for my PhD was in drug development. Like, I like all those type of things. It's just like blood is rushing through my veins. Anyhow, let's move forward. So I just want to ask you, let me ask you about science, because it's so important for me. This is like why I'm doing STEM Bio, because people are needed. Like, the fact that you are here is going to do something to the world at large. So I want you to reiterate the importance of biology or life sciences to the people that are here that are about to give up. Who knows, they might be the ones to cure cancer, right? Please tell us, what is the importance of science? Why should we stay? Should we be after the money, or I know money is important, right? Me, I don't want to be broke in this life. But as scientists poor, like, can we do well in science? Tell us a little bit about why we should stay in bio.
Okay, that's actually easy to answer right now. When we look at the world that we're in right now, you look at COVID-19, who are people going to for the answers? It's the scientists. Do you understand? So it's very important that scientists are there to solve world problems, because these problems will keep coming up, and we need people that can give us the answers. So if you leave, then who does the work? You are here for a purpose. Do you get? So, I mean, the economists, the doctors, and they do their own parts, but the science actually, needs to prove something. And that is why people go to the scientists for the answers. So I feel like it's so important. It's so important that people stay. And I know there's that fear of, science doesn't pay as much and everything, but I think in this day and age, there are so many ways to deploy yourself in a way that, you can make money. You might not, I don't know, you might be a billionaire or you might not, but you know that you make good, decent money, do you understand? And you're comfortable and you're able to add to knowledge. But again, it goes back to your wiring, who you are, do you understand? And why you are here. So if you feel like this is what you want to do, I mean, you want to research things, then stay in it, because that's what you're called to do. And in it, you're going to get money. Because there are different ways to make money, even in science. That's why you attend programs like this. You meet people that are doing all sorts of things. There's science communication, there's science writing, there is there's the research part of it. There is
Administrative too. Even if
yes,
if you're not like me that you want to be doing research, if it tires you, there's the administrative role. Like I know for sure now, like I can with a PhD. There's this thing called there's a fellowship for people that have PhD in microbiology related programs that if you go through this a fellowship program for 2 years, they're going to train you to become director of public health agency. Can you imagine that? So even if you don't want to be a research scientist per se, and you want to be able to climb up the career ladder, there's that option for you as a microbiologist.
Exactly.
You will legitimately take a board exam to certify you to become a director of public health agencies, and I'm talking places like CDC and what's that other place that this guy works in? This American guy.
NIH.
Yeah, NIH, NSF. Those places are looking for you. So don't feel like, oh, you're small. You're not small. You're not small. You can be soft. If you want to stay, there's no how. The world is big enough to contain everybody. There's an opportunity for you somewhere. So I just like telling people that don't think small of yourself. Even if you don't have a first class degree, there's something for you. People are doing well, and you will do well as well if you put your mind to it. Does that make sense? People are even, talking to, there's someone saying that they got their sideways offer based on on the relationships that they had with people.
Awesome.
So, don't give up. There's money here. There's money to be made here. How do you think that they're giving scholarships to life sciences if there is no money? You don't see a lot of that with other disciplines, and that's the honest truth. If you're even studying something like economics, a master's degree in economics, you're probably not going to get like a full stipend, full scholarship. And that's just to tell you the impact of, how or why science is so important and why you shouldn't give up on your degree. You can make it. You just need to know how to do it best. All right. So
just to add to that, so there's also, apart from COVID, right, when you think about, I want to make money and everything. For example, Shell is doing research, Mobil as well is doing research on algae and making oils from algae. Do you understand? So they need biologists here. So we're thinking now bioethanol, biodiesel. Fine, we see that there are the electric cars, but what about the fuels for the airplanes? Do you understand? So we're thinking the future. We're thinking cleaner energy, sustainable energy. We're thinking, so that is why we need to stay in science, to do this kind of things. And then as well, if you wanted to be an entrepreneur, then you can think about, solutions, in science that would make sure that our world is better.
100%. So you guys, don't give up. You have a lot. There's no way that you're a human being and you are small. Like you have a big brain on the inside of you. You cannot settle for less. I'm a big proponent of that. I believe in myself so much. I want you to believe in yourself too. You can make change in the world, in science. Okay, so let's talk about Canada, right? Because for me, let me not even lie, I applied to Canada, and Canada, there's a way Canada is. I don't know if anybody has applied to Canada before. They don't even let you apply. At least the schools that I was looking into, they didn't even let me apply until I had gotten in touch with a professor who would have agreed to accept me into their labs. But before we go there, I just want you to tell the audience what are the admission requirements, to get into Canada. What do we need, first of all? If I'm in final year and I know that in 1.5 years, I want to be in Canada, what should I start doing now? Are there exams that I need to take? What should I start doing? Should I start making what are the admission requirements to get into Canada for either a master's or a PhD degree? Can I go from a bachelor's to a PhD, or do I have to do a master's first? Do you advise me to do a master's first? Like, tell me, walk me through it. I'm in 100 level, I'm doing my master's. I'm not 100 level, I'm in 400 level, or I'm doing my master's and I want to go to Canada. What should I do?
Okay, I think that based on my own experience, I don't think that there is a one size fits all for all the schools in Canada. So there are certain schools that require you to write GRE. Do you understand? There are certain schools that would not, that would waive it. Do you understand? Depending on how you present yourself. So if you're in 400 level, yeah, it might be a nice thing to have, write GRE, but it is not the essential in my own experience, And I also think that you necessarily do not need a master's degree. However, you need a professor to actually accept you. And so that's where there's the bottleneck. So you are emailing professors that you don't know. So you are sending emails to different people and you are expecting that one person answers or something like that. So I feel like where students make a lot of mistake is how they write their emails, how they put their resume together. Do you understand? And if there's a cover letter at all, how you put your cover letter together. So there's a way that you will address an email that the person reading it will not even bother to read it.
Right.
So when you say, hello, sir, or hello, ma, do you understand? Because here I feel like they expect you to address them by their names. Otherwise, they feel like that is a generic email that you're sent to 1,001 professors. That means you're not really interested. Do you understand? So they expect you to address them as, if you're going to say, dear doctor, whatever, or hello, doctor, whatever. They don't really mind the salutations in my thinking, but mention their names, and then read a little about their research. Read a little about their research. I had the opportunity to read the resumes of some students from Nigeria that sent emails and resumes to my professor at the time I was doing my PhD. So he gave them to me to help him screen and see who we can pick. And honestly, it was painful to read. You know why it was painful to read?
Why?
Number one, you write your resume and you put your sex, your marital status, so
I just why do I need this information? Explain to me why I need to know you're married.
I think that the problem is many people don't understand that this kind of information can actually preclude them even from getting the opportunity. Because, for example, if you're emailing someone who is biased against people that are married or people that have kids, do you understand, that feel that, if you are married, that means you not be serious. The person already cancels you. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Why are you putting your age? What if the person doesn't want people that are older than 25 and you're already 30? Those kinds of information, they are not necessary in your resume to a professor. So you have to really think through your email, think through your resume, and tailor it directly to what that person is doing, so that when the person sees it, the person is interested in what you can bring, do you understand, to their lab. So again, there's the issue of, after you've done that, after you've done all, you still don't, because you're sending emails to, maybe people that you found on Google, you're searching by your research interest, or you're searching by the schools. So that's another area. So sometimes you have to change the way you search for people. So some of us search by, I want to do a PhD in biochemistry, and I look for professors in biochemistry. So that already kind of limits you to just those professors. Meanwhile, in some other departments, they might be doing what you're interested in researching in, but they're just called something else. For example, my PhD is from the Department of Engineering. Do you understand? But I worked on a yeast that we were genetically engineering to produce more oils and carotenoids. So you see, it was like you are in engineering, but you are still doing your molecular biology stuff. Yes. So sometimes you have to search for professors by your research interest area, and not just by the department
name.
Exactly, not just by the department name. And then in Canada too, there's that thing of, people respond to you and say, I don't have funding,
right,
or my department is full and all that. So when you get those responses, I always advise people, if you have done all, just keep doing it. Do you understand? Because, and then, okay, from my story, from my personal experience, how I got my supervisor in
Yeah,
eventually was was that I'd sent out emails and I wasn't getting responses and everything. So that day I got back home from work and I was just like, okay, I'm going to do something different today. And then I pick up my phone, I find the supervisor's number on the website and I call him. And I call him, he doesn't pick up because again, you're calling using your Nigerian number. So, or whatever, he doesn't pick up. And I hear the click for the voicemail and I leave a detailed voicemail. And I say to him my name. I say to him that I've sent him an email. I say to him that I've sent my resume and this is why I'm interested in his research and his department and everything, that I would appreciate a response. Do you understand? If you're going to take me, tell me. If you're not going to take me, tell me, So I'd gotten to that point, and then he responds and he's like, let's talk. Do you understand? And the rest they say is history. So sometimes you have to want it so much that you do the unconventional, So
Yeah.
that's it. So yeah, it says be persistent, and that's it.
What you're saying is so key because there's some people that that department thing, that one, people that know me know that I'm always saying it. I was in microbiology. First of all, I was trying to, my story is very deep. I'm a microbiologist. And again, the reason I wasn't trying to explore all those different areas like engineering was because what I knew was only microbiology. I didn't think that I was going to thrive somewhere else because the basal knowledge that I had about cell and molecular biology was not deep. I didn't have great teachers when I was at Babcock University. So it was really, really, really hard for me. Even during the exam was mostly cram and pour. So anything cell and molecular biology, I'm like, what's that? No. I just want to stick to my microbiology. That's what I know with my passion. That's what I want to do. But the number of people that were doing microbiology without incorporating cell and molecular biology, they're like 1 in 100. Everybody is doing something genetic, proteomics, transcriptomics, something like that. So I was just getting denial left, right, center, left, right, center. And then it was until someone told me that, look, lady, only one person in this department is doing something that is purely microbiology. The rest, everybody is exploring cell and molecular biology until you tailor because they are so passionate. Nobody wants to take you away from your passion until you're able to tailor your application so that people that are doing other things can have an interest in you. Until then, you probably will not go anywhere. When I heard that, I started I opened myself up. I was like, you know what? I will learn. It might be difficult, but I have a brain for a reason. People that are doing cell and molecular biology, they're not, I'm equally as smart as them. Yes, it might be easier for them, but it will be easy for me too if I take my time and if I study. So I started opening myself up and I started applying. And finally, someone reached out to me and it was for cancer. From microbiology to cancer. Eventually, it didn't work out because she had to leave my school. Then I had to start finding a lab in microbiology. And at this point, I was like, I don't even want to do the microbiology anymore. But at the end of the day, he was like, okay, I want you to be able to do what you like. So he found me a collaborator in polymer chemistry. Polymer chemistry, these people were polymer chemists. They were making drugs, but they were looking for biologists that could bridge that gap between the polymer chemistry and the biology. And that was how I just got into that. We wrote grants together, like over 3 grants I got. We wrote several research papers that American Society of Microbiology was telling me that my research was of significant interest because I was working with chemists. So now biology is not a single thing anymore. It's multidisciplinary. You have to be able to collaborate with people from other departments. It might be physics, it might be computer, it might be IT. Do you understand? So that's how it is. So I'm a big proponent of, don't just look at go to University of Manitoba and go to the Department of Biology and look for the professors. There might be someone in physics who is doing something that they need you for, and they've been looking. Trust me, those people they look, they don't find. I'm telling you, Irene, that people just, I know my professor now, the guy that I'm working with, he has so much grants, but there are not enough applicants.
Wow.
I'm telling you, they look for people there, but they are not finding. So now everybody is now stressed. Like, we're now adding project on top of project on top of project. Okay, you are doing vaccine. Okay, add salmonella to it. I'm like, what happened, Gogo? I asked somebody. Like, for real, but there's money, but they're not getting applicants. So you need to throw in. See, one thing I told my when I was trying to apply, I said to myself, when my father said, what do you need? If you want school scholarship, what do you need from me? I said that I need internet, uninterrupted, 100%. If you can get me internet, I will find a school that will get me a scholarship. And that was it. That was just what I kept on doing. I kept on browsing and researching and writing. That was all I needed, and that was it. All you need is data to be able to be finding. That's just probably what you need to do as you're in 400 level now, is to be doing serious research. Who can I go to? What are the people? Let me look through their department. Have they hired biologists before? Are they international professors? Because most times international professors, they have an affinity to accept people that are also international as well.
Yeah.
So that will give you an edge. That's your homework, I'm telling you, to just go on the internet and to be looking for people and to be writing them. Don't get, how much is writing? Be writing them as you're 400 level. But don't write it anyhow. Write it in a very detailed manner. There is no way that you will not be successful. Start early, you will get in. Then, and you speak good English, and you come correct with your brain correct. You will get in. There is no how you will captivate somebody. It does not matter whether they're Nigerian or not. Americans are reaching out to people. You will get in. So just keep. Don't get tired of it. All right. Let me move on to my next question. Does anybody have any questions so far? Yes, good, Yewande. You're getting the perspective. Yes, you have an advantage. As an international, let me tell you something. They're looking for graduate assistants because the work that you do, if they don't hire you, they're going to pay. Let me tell you, they pay, for instance, as a graduate assistant, you are probably earning, let's say, $1,500 a month. At the end of the year, you're probably earning like, let's say, 30,000 or 20 or less, $24,000 in a year. And you're teaching, first of all, as a graduate assistant, you're most likely going to be teaching, you're most likely going to be doing research. So it pays them to hire a graduate assistant over a full-time professor, not even a professor, or like maybe an adjunct professor or something that will be teaching all those classes that a graduate assistant can teach. It is cheaper for them. They would rather hire 3 graduate assistants than one like faculty member to just be teaching. So they're looking for, you don't feel like there's scarcity. Yes, you might be reaching out to people that don't have funds, and I'm not saying that that's not true. It's true. I applied to 7 schools. There were some that I applied, they will tell me they're retired. There were some that I applied to, they will tell me that they don't have funding. Sometimes I would even tell my father, I'll be like, I just want to come, just give me space in your lab. Like, please, I'm begging you. That's what I was working with someone recently, and she did the same thing. She was like, okay, I just want space. I'm not looking for your money. Just accept me into your lab first. I will find a way to pay for my research. You also got government funding, like you did for Canada, and that was it. The guy actually didn't even respond to her email. It was until she reached out to somebody and told the person that I have sent this guy an email. He hasn't responded to me. Can you just help me? Go and ask him to respond, kind of like that phone call you made. Just tell him to respond to my email so I can move on with my life to another person. Do you understand? So the guy now responded to her, and his words were, oh, I'm sorry I didn't respond to you. I thought your email was about something else. Meaning that he thought her email was about, sir, please, I need funding in your lab. Accept me. But what she was saying was, I have money. I just want to help you do your research. Won't you hire me? They're like, okay, free labor, come over. I will write you whatever. They're like, what do you need for your visa? I'm going to write it for you. And that was her, and that's how she got in. So many different things. I also called. I didn't just rely on my emails. I called. Even after calling, I would look for the people that were working in the labs of the people that I was writing to. And I would write to them. I'll say, hello, I've written to your professor. I haven't gotten any response yet. Even when I was looking for a job, I was doing that. I haven't gotten any response yet. Do you know if there's any availability in your lab? And they'll tell me, oh, sorry, our professor is a little bit busy around this period. Just hold on, I'll see if I can catch him later and ask him to respond to your email. You don't have to know anybody to be able to get what you want. I'm just letting you guys know, like, go. Like you too, I got a lot from my professor. I also got a lot of applications, and my professor will look like, I'd say, this guy is Nigerian. I'm not going to accept him because of this or because of that. And I'm just like, I wish I could like just write these people and tell them to correct me.
Honestly, I felt the same way. Like, I wish I could reach out to those people, but of course it would be unethical.
Yeah, it's unethical. All right.
And just to add to, okay, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go.
Okay, so I was just going to add to, the scholarship and the money part of it. So there's sometimes that in Canada, what I realize is that many times they want to have funding to be able to pay you. So if they are not able to pay you, then they don't want to take you on. So that's one. And then number two, another thing that some schools, I had applied to the University of Toronto. I think I reached out to a professor who then told me to send my application to the graduate school. But there's a problem with that, because if you do that, you're paying the application fee, right? So you're paying application fee $100, and then the graduate school can come back and tell you, oh, no professor is willing to take you at this time, or no professor has space in their lab or whatever. So it's always better to actually get a professor that says, I want you. And then graduate school has no option but to take you on, when you finally apply. Then coming to the scholarship part, based on my own story. So I had funding, a government funding from Nigeria. So I told
from Nigeria, I'm crying that there is no money.
So I had government funding from Nigeria, and I told my professor that, oh, I have government funding and everything for the year, and I mean, I've been paid and everything. So, but after he had taken me, after he had accepted to take me on, but not after I arrived in Canada. I was still in Nigeria when I told him. So I told him that it was a government funding, one, and number two, I wasn't sure that I was going to continue, just because of the government that I was getting the funding from. And I knew the experiences of other people that had gotten the same funding. So after year one, Nigerian government can choose to stop paying your whatever. And at that point, I told him. So he was like, oh, no worries, come on, by the next year, I will get more funding. And so I believe personally that first year was like a test to see how is she performing. Before the end of my first year, guys, he called me and was like, we'll start paying you from this month. Do you understand? So my funding had not even ended in the first year before he started paying me.
Oh my
God.
So
sometimes
it's so true, because, sorry for cutting you short, one of our speakers for USA said the same thing. He said that this guy had money, but that the guy wanted to test him and was the guy was like, he went to the guy, he was even in the US at this point, and then he went to the professor's office and was like, sir, I need to have research experience and things like that. And the guy said, well, sorry, I don't have any funding for you. And he was like, I don't want funding, I just want to come and do the research. And the guy was like, okay, I just wanted to make sure that you were after the research and not the money. I'll give you your scholarship, I'll pay you every month. And that was it. So I'm just like, that one is another thing I didn't know that they do that. And you're the second person telling me this again. So I'm just like,
so I think that too, especially if you're coming straight from Nigeria, and for those of you who don't have a master's degree that want to go straight from a bachelor's to a PhD program. So I think that many of the professors want to, have that time to see, is this person a good fit for my lab? Because here there's no recommendation. So they don't, well, you have your references, right? But still, they don't really know you. Do you understand? They don't trust you. So you have to perform to build that trust capital. Do you understand? So that was what I just wanted to add on the scholarship bit.
Yeah, no, 100, they would rather go for, and I learned that the hard way as well, where I knew that when I came here, I knew that they've been teaching students for years. They are also trying to poach, they know the good students in their class. So they will be poaching
Exactly.
those students and will be like, oh, do you want to come and do some research in my lab? So it's you that they don't know against someone else that they know that they should probably hire. So there's a little bit, they're taking a huge risk on you. And that's why it was so important for me when I came here that I did everything that I could in my part to make sure that my professor valued me so much. That's why if I just call his name, he has answered me 10 times. To the point that when I was there, he would be like, do you know any Nigerians? That was how it was, that are looking for PhD opportunity. Again, there is money, there are no students. There is money, there are no students. So honestly, people are looking for people, especially now with COVID, that happened. There is a lot of money in science. They are looking for graduate assistants. You just have to know what to do and how to do it. All right, Irene, I'm going to go and ask you the other question. So generally though, did you do the GRE?
I did, but I didn't need it. So I did because, I did because at the time I was thinking US. Do you understand? So, but when I had a mind shift that, I could actually come to Canada, I realized that I didn't need it, especially when I was coming to the University of Manitoba. And they asked, I think what they asked was, they asked for IELTS, I guess. And I said to them that I schooled in Nigeria in English. I went to Nottingham in English, so I wrote back to them. So I didn't write IELTS. I didn't write any of those exams personally. So, but I did write GRE at the time before then because I was thinking about the US, but I didn't need it.
Always kind of iffy too, because there are some, so in my experience in the US, I know that the schools that are competitive, they waive GRE. They're just like, there's this thing called Brexit, where they're trying to phase out the GRE exams, and they're like, GRE is actually not a performance tool as to how a student is going to open. You can pass the GRE and then you come and one semester in, you tell the professor that you're no more doing again, and they've invested so much in you. So they're proposing that the GRE is not a function for how well a student is going to perform. Even the English GRE, we don't even speak it every day here. So but what I found is that the schools that are not accepting GRE anymore, that are waiving the GRE, there are schools that are quite competitive. So you're talking every university, you're talking schools that are, so it's harder. So I personally always, for US now, but I don't know how it is in Canada, if GRE is required. At the time, I know that when I was applying to Canada, I didn't need to do the GRE, but for US, I needed to. Anyways, what I was saying was, from what I know now, the schools that are less competitive, but that have great programs as well, are the ones that still require you to do GRE, because for international students, that's kind of like the way they're able to put everybody on the same scale. Because what you learned in undergraduate is different from what people learned here, right? So they're just finding a way to put everybody on the same scale, and they're like, okay, based off of this is how well you're going to perform. So I think it's kind of like, for me, I always tell people, if they can't afford to write it, they should write it, so that whenever they come into the opportunity to apply to a particular school, and everything is all set, and maybe the professor has even accepted them. That happened to a friend of mine. Remember, I told you that my professor said that he was I should look for Nigerians. So I found someone, a Nigerian, who wanted to work with my professor, and I linked them together. They had a fantastic interview, but she had not written the GRE. And so they had a fantastic interview, and he was like, I'm going to take you. And, I just need you, because the graduate school requirement is for you to write the GRE exam. So he told her that go and apply, because the only way that he can accept her anyway is through her application. So she had to do the GRE. Unfortunately, because the time was so short, she had only 1 month, or so, to write the GRE. She didn't pass. And for my professor, GRE is so important to him. He's very big on math, people that can do algebra and calculate. So that's one of, because again, they don't trust you. You know, you might fail the GRE, but they don't know you. So once you fail the GRE, they're like, yeah, I don't want to take that risk, because biology, life science, I don't know about you, but I still do math on C today. I still find the value of X. Yes, I still find the value of X. So you need to be able to do math. You need to be able to do calculations. So for him, it was really important, and that was the deal breaker for him. He was like, you almost did it, but you didn't pass, this, you didn't pass your math, and I cannot take you. So, at this point, she was already accepted. The professor had already accepted her based on, the interview that they've had, but the requirement to get into the graduate school, she didn't have it, and she didn't have enough time to study. So I always tell people to just be on the safe side. Tomorrow you might find a professor that accepts you, but then the school is asking for something that you don't have, that will automatically disqualify you. So definitely do. But I know that for a lot of schools in Canada, this is not about US now. Most of them don't require GRE, but again, it's usually a one shoe size fits all. And I always tell people to know your deal breakers. What is it for you? Are you after schools that are looking for GRE? Like, do you mind doing GRE? For me, that's what's important. If your own focus is to find schools that will give you admission, but you don't need to do the GRE, then that's your focus. That's your deal breaker. Maybe there will be 1,000 schools that are available to you, and you're only limiting yourself to 10. Do you understand? So you have to know what your deal breaker is, so that you're not precluding yourself from other opportunities based on the fact that you don't want to write a GRE exam. So okay, let me ask you another question. How long, this is again another easy question, how long is the application process from start to finish, so that they can know the best time to start? Because you see people, they graduate in June, July, and they want to go to grad school in January. But at that point, it might be too late because the application cycle has already closed. So when should people apply? For the school that I went, they do rolling cycle admission. They do one in January and one in August. For some schools in Canada, I don't know how it is. When should people start looking to apply, so that they're not doing it at the wrong time and then they lose 1 year and have to wait until the upper year before they apply again?
Yeah. Okay, so I don't think that there is so I think different schools have different times that they allow students in. So in U of M, for example, I know there is the fall, which is in September start time. There is January winter. There is I think there is another one in March or April. So the thing is, with PhDs, I feel like as soon as you're ready, just start applying, But I think what's okay, yeah, maybe summer of May. Someone says summer for May. I think May. I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure about the other, but I know January and September for sure. So, but again, I think that when you're ready, like right now, if you're in your final year or whatever, just start. Because at the end of the day, the time that it will take for you to get the professor, time to write your GRE or whatever exams that you want to write, and then you get the person, and then you think about visa. Do you understand? So, for example, with my own case, I had reached out to my professor, I think in June, and I started in September of the same year. So I reached out to him in June and we started talking. He accepted me and everything. So I got the admission letter from the graduate school saying that I should resume the next year. That was 2016 in September, because the visa office says that it will take 1 year to get my visa. I responded, I said, please go and change the date of the admission, because I know that I will get my visa quicker than that. So they changed my admission to January. So I went back to them again. I said, no, give me admission for September. Do you understand that I think that I can get my visa quicker? Do you understand? As long as you give me the paperwork that I need. And I got my visa in 3 weeks. But that's not the case for many people. Do you understand? So so the website, the CIC website, to say it takes 52 weeks to process your student visa. So the university wants to give you an admission based on that. Do you understand? So I think that wherever you are in this time, just start. Do you understand? So that by the time that you get the professor, by the time you get graduate school to write and everything, at that time you can now start negotiating with them and saying, okay, I think that I can get my visa quicker. Why not give me an admission letter that says this? Do you understand? So I got 1, 2, 3 admission letters. Do you understand? Because because I kept asking them to change it, and I don't know why I thought I could get my visa quicker, but I did. Do you understand? And I really knew that I wanted to go that year. So I think just start now. Now is the best time to start.
All right, thank you. So I wanted to ask one more question. Is funding guaranteed, right? Because, and I know that this question is iffy, and maybe this question is more for people that want to do a master's, because I've actually never heard in North America of PhDs that come over here and don't get funding. But for people that do masters, do they have to pay school fees, or is funding guaranteed for everything? Do you know anything about that? Have you had any master students that have had to pay to get their degree? Is that a possibility? Because some people might have money and they just want to come to Canada. Is that something, or is it by force that until you get a scholarship, then you cannot study in Canada?
That's a tough question for me to answer.
That
because
was question, actually.
It was, yeah.
She's most admission savvy.
Yes.
What I'm going to do about her is, I feel like, maybe there was a mix-up on her end because of the time difference or something. I'll probably do a separate interview with her that I will record and ask all these admission questions, and then I'll just send a recorded link to people so that they can watch it.
Okay, but again, just to mention something about being in a lab where everybody else is funded and you're not funded, there are times that you get discouraged on your work. Do you understand? You don't want to be in a position where you're thinking about money in addition to the load of work that you have to do.
Exactly.
And you don't want to be in a position where you're thinking, oh, I'm the only one that is not being funded. Everybody is getting funded, especially when you're in a, you're cash strapped or something, So I feel that, even if you're getting external funding, it doesn't have to be from your supervisor. So look out for external funding, and within a university, there are usually loads and loads of funds. So it might not cover the whole of your tuition. It might just be $1,000 here, $2,000 here, $3,000 here. But make sure you are applying for those things if you are in the program and you don't have full funding. So make sure that you're applying for those so that you are not in a place where you're thinking about your financial state and your financial well-being while struggling or whatever with your work. Do you understand? So you want to make sure that you utilize all those avenues for scholarships.
I always tell people, I'm like, don't think of it like how are you going to be able to do it too? Because some people have that ideology is when I get there, I'll figure it out. And truly, some people do. But I'm telling you, it's difficult for you to be first. You have to, if you say, okay, you're gonna struggle, you have to do Uber. Okay, you have to find money to buy a car, right? Or then when you finally find money to buy a car, it's just a struggle. Just find a way, get your lifestyle, like settle that in your mind that you are a biologist. There's money for you. Like, don't struggle unnecessarily. If someone told me to pick between UK and US or Canada, I would pick, for me, again, what's your deal breaker? Some people they like the life of ease. They don't want to have to be writing 20 professors before they get 2 people to respond to them. That's fine. If that's you and you have the money to get your degree, go ahead and do it. And, if that's the case for you as well for Canada, go ahead and do it. Who knows? You might be like Irene, where they're like, okay, we're just testing you. We're going to actually fund you or something. So don't stress yourself unnecessarily. Life abroad is not as glamorous as people like to think about it. For people that are international, they keep you very contained. Like, for instance, in the US, you cannot work more than 20 hours a week if you don't have funding. You cannot work more than 20 hours a week. And the job that you do, you can't do it outside school. It has to be a school job. And this is for that. Yeah, in the US, that's how it is. You can't, they will say, your visa is a student visa. What are you working for? Like you said, you had money. What are you working for? So, and they understand that you need cash, but they keep it strapped, and they're like, you can only work in school. But there are ample jobs in school. You can work in the library, you can work in the cafeteria, you can work in the dorms. There are many restaurants in school where people work. But I'm just trying to let you know that all that thing about, and when I jack out, figure it out, it's not the truth all the time. People suffer big time. I'm telling you, it's better for you to get your letter that they write, will pay your school fees. We're going to be giving you a stipend of $1,500 every month. Guy, you'll be chilling. So don't, settle it in your mind. There's money for life sciences. Go after the money. If you want to go, if you have your money, I'm not asking you not to go for it, but I'm telling you that don't be of that ideology that, when you come here, you're going to figure it out to pay school fees by yourself and things like that. All right, we can just go to questions because I feel like I've touched majority of all of the questions. Someone is asking, and I think he's asking a really important question about what he needs to start doing now to be valuable, because that's important. So you cannot just say I'm interested in your research, right? What do you have to show for it? He's saying that what should he do now? Right? That was his question. How can one be valuable to his or her professor? Is it before you get in or after you get in? Is that what you're saying? I think he's quoting me what I said, that if I call my professor one time, he answers me 10 times now. Mm-hmm. If that's your question, it's just working hard. There were times during my PhD that I would come in on the weekends to work, right? I would, I knew how my professor wanted my results. I would give it to him that way. I was asking the right question. They knew that I was committed to my work. Both. Okay, so he wants to know before he gets in, what can he do? Should he write papers? Should he go for conferences? What should he do to show, to boost his chances? Because, people that didn't study here, that didn't study abroad, it might be a little bit more difficult for them. They have to be able to show to a certain degree that they can do research. So,
okay. So I'll say before you get in, where you are right now, make sure that you're adding value. So because where you are right now, you might be with those professors that you would want to use as your references in the future, So adding value, meaning that when they say, can you please do this? Adejumo, can you please do this? You do it immediately. And when they set a deadline, you are not giving excuses all the time on missing deadlines. You are efficient and you are asking questions. And there's no problem with asking questions, because I believe I got a quote from one of the respected publishers in my field. And he said that science is about asking questions. And for you to ask the right question, and you keep asking till you ask the right questions. So it's okay for you to ask questions, but just make sure that you're doing something. Let the professor that you're with realize that you're putting in your very best. Do you understand? My PhD professor said something. My references were my professors from the UK. And he said, your references were excellent. And I'm thinking to myself, what did I do with these guys? But the truth is that I feel like I did my work. And when I said to them, I will deliver this tomorrow morning. My tomorrow morning is tomorrow morning. I'll be there at 10, be there at 10. Just those things when you just show that diligence. So you might not know everything. You cannot have all the answers, because even the professors don't have the answers many times. So they're asking you questions, and then when you get in as well, you're talking, you go into a meeting, you have to take a note and a paper. A note and a pen. You have to show that seriousness, that, and then, like you said, yesterday, be ready to work on the weekends, because with research, a PhD research, I have time points 12 a.m., 3 a.m., 6 a.m., you know, and my supervisor knew that I had kids. Do you understand? And he saw that I could, you know, position myself in such a way that my research didn't suffer. So when it was time for him to, you know, give me a break, he knew that I had earned it.
Right.
Do you understand? So he knew that I had earned it. So I think that wherever you find yourself, just make sure that you're diligent. Just keep doing it and asking questions, because it's fine to ask questions.
100%. No, what you're saying is like so true. Like there's some points like this summer for me was so tough because they're just, summertime is usually very busy research wise, but I threw myself into it. I'm making sure that my research doesn't suffer. When we reached a point on Friday where we were able to breathe, I told my boss, I'm like, I'm taking the time off on Monday. It's like, go, like, don't even stay, just you showing up, doing your research, answering the questions, making your graphs, doing what you're supposed to do will help you. Don't overthink about it that, oh, you have to be valuable, you have to be Albert Einstein. Just do what you can, do the research, and you'll be fine. Does anybody have any questions? Do you want to unmute as we begin to tie this to a close? Joy didn't come because I think that there's somewhere we had time zone, but I'm going to have a separate session with her, and I'm going to I'm going to ask her all these admission type questions because she's an admission person, and I really wanted you guys to be able to hear from her. And then I'll interview her on my own and then record it and send it over to you guys. Does anybody have any questions about getting?
Yes, I do. Hello? Yes, this is Davis.
Hi, Davis.
Good afternoon. I just want to thank you for the platform again, and I've really learned a lot, gotten a lot of information from Dr. Irene and you. Most questions have been answered and have been asked and answered actually during the course of the session. But I just want to ask a question. What are those, because from what you said, you made mention of how biology is becoming so vast that it's now like being a part of other departments or other courses as well. So I just want to know, what are those skills that you would say are relevant? Because I know of a friend who is studying cell biology, Juan. He's doing coding. Myself, I'm into video editing, Adobe Premiere Pro, Adobe After Effects, and the rest. I just want to hear from the professionals, what are those skills you'd say, okay, this is something you should prepare yourself for, and the rest. Yeah. That's my question.
Irene, you want to take it?
Yeah, I'll just say a bit and then you can go ahead. So that's excellent. Coding and all of that, because bioinformatics is very big and you can make a lot of money from bioinformatics. In fact, I had to learn coding as well, but I don't write any language, so I just do shell scripting. But I had to do shell scripting for my genome assembly, transcriptomics work, proteomics. I had to learn it. In fact, in my lab, there was nobody else doing it. So I had to go to another department to work with another professor to learn it. So I think that these are awesome. Yeah, Python is amazing. Just learn it. So these are amazing opportunities for you to merge your computer science skills with biology, and especially that you're a biologist, you understand, you are able to make sense again of the data that you're creating. Do you understand? So because sometimes when a computer scientist is the bioinformatician, then they cannot explain what is there. So you as a biologist, you're able to explain it because you know both sides. So it's amazing. Please go ahead and learn those.
Yeah, definitely.
Open-minded.
Computational biology now is kind of like how cell and molecular biology has permeated into, or even if you are doing marine sciences, you will still have to do something cell and on a cell and molecular level most times if you're not answering an ecological question. Even for some people that answer ecological questions, they're still talking about eDNA in the water to try and think based on the eDNA that they are finding in the water. And so they take the samples, they sequence it, and they find the DNA, and they're able to find out what species of organisms had lived there years and years before. So just the way cell and molecular biology has permeated into all forms of life sciences is the same way computational is going everywhere now. And this brings me to another point that I'm going to ask you, Irene, where let me finish my thought first. Computational biology is everywhere. Like people are learning. You're most like, now that we've entered transcriptomics, you're not going to be able to do transcriptomics without being able to analyze your data, and that comes with you being able to computationally analyze it, and that's where bioinformatics comes in. So if you have bioinformatics on that, I'm not saying that you should go for it, but I'm saying that it will make you definitely more marketable. And I want to say to people that are in the audience that are afraid, they look at coding and they're like, I can't do it. Don't be afraid. You can learn it. There's nothing you can't learn it, see. But what I always tell people is don't just go and learn it for learning's sake. You see, when Irene wanted to learn it, she had data that she wanted to analyze. So it makes sense for you, right? Because you were able to put it into practice. Some people just go, they said they're learning it, so let me go and learn it. How can you apply it? Do you see, can you volunteer somewhere? Can you ask people that, okay, you know what, I have this, I'm learning this bioinformatics skills. I just want to be able to analyze data, to be able to be getting data sets so that you can put the skills that you've learned to work. At the end of the day, you can be like, oh, you've analyzed over 100 million reads of RNA-seq data or protein data and things like that. So that's just what I would tell you. Number one, get those skills that are now cutting edge research tools. That's what they call them today. That if you have it, it's going to take you far. Learn them if you can, pay for them if you can. They will help you. And don't be afraid of learning it. Don't be small-minded that, okay, I only know cell and molecular biology. See, when it comes to that coding, it's not in my DNA, it's in your DNA. Go and learn it. People are learning it. Go and learn it if you can learn it. I'm not forcing you to go into bioinformatics. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying if you can't do so. So my question to you, Irene, is, and for me this is so important, is before they select their programs, is it important for them to think about what they want to do with it at the end of the day? And I'm saying this because, and I don't know if I've shared this story before, where somebody studied from Nigeria, he wanted to come to the US. Again, he had tried applying and applying. He couldn't get a place to get into. Finally, somebody who was studying entomology accepted him. But where he wanted to work was in the industry. And what he was going to learn, the skills he was going to learn as an entomologist, is not what the industry is looking for, tech industries. And it can preclude you. It can basically, even though you're getting a PhD, and we always shout that with PhD you can do anything, and that's the truth. But the truth is that I'm asking you, I'm putting the question to you now. Is it important for us to merge what research we're doing now with where we want to go in the future, so that we're not at a clash, at a lack? For me, it happened to me, for instance, where what I did was a lot of wet lab biology. What I was doing was so, even though it was drug development and things like that, it was still a lot of deep, biology stuff that wasn't directly applicable. So I was trying to answer deep molecular esoteric questions. That's what they call them. Esoteric questions are those questions that have to do with mechanisms or things like that. But industry is fast-paced. They don't want to understand mechanisms. That's what they give to the academic people. They want you to tell them how the mechanism works so that they can develop something that can tweak that mechanism, right? So you have to, for me, at that point in time, I knew that, oh my God, like I've been answering so many esoteric questions. I need to be able to get applied research under my belt, meaning that I need to be able to do research that is directly applicable to the public health. And, as fate would have it, I found myself in this lab that was doing vaccine development. Now I'm working with developing countries, vaccine manufacturers that are doing so. I just want you to touch on that a little bit. In as much as biologists, they're trying to get, scholarships, assistantships, should they just go to anything, or should they be thinking about what they want to do in the future so that they kind of tailor it together, and that by the time they graduate, they're not just like, oh gosh, now I have to go and do a postdoc for another 4 years and earn basal salary, when what they really want to do is go to the industry and study bioinformatics or something like that.
Yeah, you definitely have to think about the future. Think about what you want, and if you're already in a program that you feel is kind of curtailing you, I feel like, especially with a PhD, you can always tailor your research. You can always go to your professor. I don't know if there's anybody here already that has started a PhD, or maybe in your master's. I think there's someone who is in their master's class right now. So you can always go to your professor and tailor your research in such a way that you are applying those techniques that you know are useful in the industry. So you're having a meeting with your professor and he's saying, oh, why don't we check the mechanism of blah, 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 blah. That's fantastic idea. But I was thinking that why don't we sequence the genes of blah, blah, blah instead, and do, because by the time you start to sequence, you start to analyze expression difference, gene expression data. Do you understand? You are getting something, and you know that is marketable. So you have to think about where you're going. So no matter the program that you're doing, of course, think about the program, please. But if you have already entered the program, then you have to think about how can I develop those skills, and don't run away. Like Dr. Yetunde said, don't run away, because you can feel like, oh, this bioinformatics is so huge, is so whatever, Now I work on Linux. I couldn't think that I'll be the one to I will be writing codes. That when I started, I had to look at my codes from my notes. And then I joined the Bioinformatics Society. There are different things, helplines on the internet. Do you understand? So I created an account. So when I have problems, because sometimes it's just a full stop that doesn't let your thing run, So don't be afraid to suggest those things and those techniques, because you know where you're going. So you also have to understand the trends. What's the market trend? Where am I going? Okay, I want to go to the industry. So even if I'm studying, say I'm doing a PhD in biology, just plain biology. So can I include bioinformatics in my research? Can I include transcriptomics, genomics, proteomics, metagenomics in my research, such that I can say that these are transferable skills that I can transfer to, vaccine research, for example, or do I know R? Can I work on R?
Like, if you know how to do R. So what I would even advise people before, going to those, if you know that you want to, if you know that, first of all, Irene, please tell them, is PhD only for people that want to become professors?
No.
Okay, great. So we've already established that if you're getting your PhD and you don't want to really go into academia, you want to go to industry or consulting or something like that, go and just look up a job like PhD positions in Pfizer or Moderna or any biotech industry. Go and look at all the things that they are requiring the applicants to be able to do. Now think about it, and then go back to searching for your PhD and be like, okay, it's iffy somehow. I won't say that you shouldn't go for positions that you should, but as best as you can, try and merge it together. Try and be like, okay, I want to go to industry. I should probably be working with, for instance, I work with somebody now that has links with so many biotech industry. Maybe that's what you need to start looking, and not just looking for professors that are doing something that, especially if you don't want to do if you don't want to go to industry and you want to do pure academia. So that's just what I always advise people to do, so that you don't waste time. Even after your PhD, boom, you're ready for the marketplace. You're not wasting time doing unnecessary things. Thank you very much, Irene. That answer was like spot on. I should go and learn R. It's been on my mind too. But the thing is figuring out sometimes, what I struggle with is I learn it, then what? Like I'm not really doing anything right now that is going to help me retain that skill. Because that's what's important, retention of the skill, being able to, knowing the skill and knowing the type of questions you can answer with the skills are different. They're two different things, right? You might know something, but you don't know what to do with it. And I know actually someone in Nigeria, he came to talk about getting into grad school in Nigeria. He had to pay for a while before he got assistantship for for part of his research. But and I asked him how was he able to pay his bills? Because obviously, like you're doing your PhD, you still need to be able to live a little, buy data, do this. He said that he knew how to do bioinformatics, and he started that. He said that there are some gigs online that basically are looking for people that can do bioinformatics. They just give you data and you just use your bioinformatics to answer those to analyze the data for them, and then they pay you by the hour, and they were paying him in dollars, and that was how he was able to get in. So there are job opportunities out there, guys. Don't limit yourself. Learn all those skills, but more than learning those skills, I'm a big proponent of retaining those skills. Be able to know, how can I be able to retain this knowledge that I've gotten to actively answer questions that are important. Okay. So I'm going to ask another. I saw someone. Actually, this is a good chance to ask for help. Does anyone have a good knowledge of bioinformatics? I need assistance. I usually post from time to time. There are a couple of bioinformatics workshops. But yeah, if anybody has any bioinformatics skills, reach out to, I think that was Emeka that put in the chat.
So I'll send you a link to a workshop that is going on, I think in November. I'll send you a link to it when it's ready. It's in Ilorin, so organized by the West African Bioinformatics Research Institute. So I will let you know, so you can send it to your group.
Okay. Bello Omotosho says there is this program NYC. How did you guys do that? Did you apply for scholarships after the NYC service or after you left the service? That's why I'm saying it's important for you to start early. When I started in 400 level, before I went, I don't know about Irene. I know Irene went to UK first, so her story was different. But I knew that I wanted to go to the US. Immediately I graduated, I started studying for my GRE. I studied for 3 months for my GRE exam. That was how calculated I was. I knew that before I wanted to go to NYC camp, I needed my GRE done. After I did my GRE, I went to serve. During my service year, I started applying to schools. By the time I was done with my service, I already had my admission offer, and immediately I went to school abroad. So that's how it worked out for me. So if you want to go to graduate school, please don't start after your NYC, because it will take you about a year. So for instance, if you want to come to the US to study in August 2022, application portals open in November, December, right? So as of November, December, if you're applying to a school that needs GRE, IELTS and things like that, you ought to have had all those things by December 2021, so that they will take their time and get back to you by March. And then in March, you will know that you are going to school in August of 2022. So you cannot say that it's after your GRE, you now want to start looking to apply. Start, Googling all those things, doing that research. When are the applications open, right? There are some schools that open their portals. I know, for instance, the school that I went to, they do applications up until they do applications for people that want to study in January. So if you want to come to America in January of 2022, I think their deadline is still on October 1. But you cannot apply until you have all those admission requirements. And it might take you more than 2 months to get them together. If you don't have your transcript, and maybe they're asking you to analyze your transcript, those West people, they can be crazy sometimes, especially when it comes to Nigerians. Oh, don't let me even go there. So you get, like, you have to be able to have thought about this thing at least few months in advance before the application. Recommendation letter, how about that? There are some professors in Nigeria that you will have to run after them to get you your recommendation letters. So you can't just say that when I finish my NYC, I'll start thinking about it. Start thinking about it now. When do you want to go? That's your question. When do you want to go? Do you want to go next year? Okay, if you want to go next year, what are the schools that are still open to you now? What should you have by now? How many of them do you have? That's the best way to think about it. If that helps with your question, Belu or Motosho. Yeah, Eunice, you're 100% right. Don't learn those skills because you will just go. Do you know how many computational things I've learned that I'm just like, okay, I know I went to that workshop, yeah, but I still didn't do anything with them, and it's just there, right? Until you're able to apply it, maybe if you go to that workshop, right? If Dr. Irene sends this link, go to that workshop, reach out to the people that are organizing it, ask them that, okay, I want to be able to retain this information that you've taught me. Aside from the fact that I'm learning, I'm telling you, it's abstract. When they'll just tell you, how do you write a code? Write this, right? They'll teach you how to write the code. They'll teach you everything. But what do you do with it afterwards? Reach out to them. Tell them that you want to retain these skills. Do they have any data that you can practice with? You want to volunteer with them? People are always looking, and it's bioinformatics. You can do it remotely. So there's nothing impossible for you to do. Just ask. When you retain it and you put it in your CV or your letter that you're writing to your professor that you've had, you spent 400 hours analyzing RNA-seq data using this particular Linux or whatever, like they're gonna be looking at you like, what? Right? And apply. See, even departments like computation, IT departments, they're also looking for biologists too. I was telling them one of those times ago that I have a biochemist friend who went to, he was in the Department of Computer Science, but he was doing machine learning on how to reduce drug testing in animals in the lab. That was what he just did for his PhD. But he only applied there when he got into the Department of computer science. It was the computer science department that was looking for him as a biochemist. Now he's working as a consultant, for a different, company, even though his core is biochemistry. So you can do a lot as a biologist. Any other questions before we wrap this up? Has this helped you? Let's know. Do you have any questions? Irene, please tell them about talking to people, reaching out to people during the application process. How can they? Some people don't know how to do it. Some people are afraid. Some people are shy. Is it important? Me, I know of stories of people that have reached out to other people, and that's how they were able to get admission. As you studied in Canada, you know your professor, right? Could people have reached out to you at that time and said, you know what, Irene, I'm looking for a PhD position. Do you know of any? Are there things that you know that people on the outside don't know that will be of information to them if they were in this application process? I want you to highlight that importance of talking to people who are already in the system.
Absolutely. It's so important. And don't be afraid. So the worst that you can get will be a silence or a no, and that's fine. So it's okay. Reach out to people, talk to people, because the person that is inside usually knows, we're getting this funding in September. We're getting that funding in October. This is a good time to apply. Right. Do you understand? So if you reach out to people, then that's how they can give you that kind of info. Well, they might not give you the total information, but they'll say, go ahead and apply now, or send him an email now. I will tell him to check his email, just something like that. So it's important. And please go ahead, reach out to people and try to construct your emails in a how do I put this now? In a professional way. It doesn't have to be, you are not pleading and begging, right? But you are respectful and professional. So make sure that the tone of your email, and another thing is you can always get someone else to check your email for you and say, I'm sending this to someone, what do you think? So that your grammar is right, things are put in order and everything. Send your email, don't be afraid. Please go ahead and do that. It's very important.
I always tell, even little things like mail, like for instance, over here in America, if you tell people I sent you a mail, they're thinking physical mail. You know, those things, those are little things where they're like, I don't understand what you're saying. What do you mean you sent me a mail? Physical mail means letter over here. So if you want to talk about, oh, I sent you an email, then that's like electronic mail. Then they you know, you're speaking their language to them and they get you. So those are the little nuances that will benefit you if you talk to people. Talk to people 100%. Like, I can't, you know, I have stories of how talking to people has helped. Does anybody have any more questions? Yep, don't stop pushing. Any more questions before we go? Go. Someone has asked about WEF. They're saying that, do they need WEF in Canadian universities?
I didn't need it. I didn't need it. I don't know about other people's experience in this aspect, but
some of the schools that I had applied to, they told, again, this thing about graduate school, number one, there is no one true size fits all. Different schools, different strokes. They want different things. So it's about you knowing what your deal breaker is. I think for me, that's what it is. If you know that, okay, how much is it going to cost me if I want to do WEF? If money is your limitation and you're like, GRE, $200, IELTS, $180, WEF, $250. Do I have this money? Okay, I'm going to look for schools that take only GRE, IELTS, but no WEF, right? Or so don't just rush into it. Know what you're going for. Do your research. Like I said, internet is your best friend. Do your research. Go and look for schools, right? Do your research on 50 schools in the US that are doing something bio-related. What are the things that they need, right? The ones that don't need WEF, how many are they versus the one that need WEF? That will inform you on what you should do if you want higher chances of getting in. Do you see what I'm saying? So you know, doing that research prior and being like, okay, of all the schools that I found, 90% of them require WEF. I am going to do WEF. Do you understand? Or of all the schools that I found, only 10% require GRE. I'm not doing GRE. Do you understand? So these are the little dynamics that it's not always a one size fits all. Irene said that she didn't need. I told you that I needed it because I applied to Canada and the school I was looking for at the time, they were telling me that they needed WEF. So, you know, it's about you doing that research and knowing what is that deal breaker for you. If money is your limitation or if time is your limitation, then that will help you make that decision on what you should do ahead of time. But yes, GRE, all those GRE, IELTS, WES, all those things are real requirements. Do you need it? That's a question that only you can answer based on the dynamics of Bello Omotosho had his hand or her raised. I don't know if they still have any questions. Go. Oh my gosh, it's almost 12 p.m. Bello Davis has another question. Now, wow, Davis is finishing us the question.
Okay. So thank you, Dr. Just based on what someone was saying, I was doing some research a few weeks ago, and I think now most schools accept Duolingo English test, which is actually cheaper than the others, IELTS and the other English test. So I think most people that want to do English test can also take Duolingo, which is accepted by some schools, and it's actually cheaper.
What is Duolingo? Is that like, what is that?
Duolingo, it started as a language app that helps to teach people different languages. So during the lockdown, they started having more like recognition, and so they created their own tests like IELTS and TOEFL and SAT. So now most schools use them as a recommendation for English test stuff. Yeah. So I just try to put it out there for people who probably are finding IELTS more expensive and the rest.
Okay, thank you very much for that information. Okay. Any other questions before we begin to tie this to a close? You're welcome, Dr. Yewande. Oh, Oh, all right. Yeah, different schools, different strokes. It's about knowing what's more important to you, but that you cannot do it, you can do it. That one is, and we don't want you to give up on your degree. We want you to know that you can make it. If we have made it, you can make it through. And again, this isn't about traveling abroad. This isn't about jackpot by all means. You can make it anywhere in the world that you can. Look at Dr. Irene. She got a scholarship from Nigeria, and she was able to come to Canada. So there's so many things that you can do. There are opportunities that are available to you. I'm telling you, you just need to do that research and get the internet and figure it out. Duolingo test, says David. Any other questions so that we can let Dr. Irene go? Does anybody have any other questions? If not, we can exit. How's this? Thank you guys for your feedback. I know that you've learned a lot. We've learned a lot. Before this, we did Australia, we did Southeast Asia, we did Nigeria, we did USA, we did, what else did we do? Ireland, we did UK. So if you've been to all these sessions, we're actually going to create a summarized material or resource for you where we're like, okay, this is what you need for this country. If you want to go there, this is when you should start. Do this, don't do that. You need to contact a professor. You don't need to contact a professor. So that if you just look at it and you want to start applying to graduate school, you can just be like, okay, based on my resources, based on what's more important to me, I think I'm going to go to Australia, or I think I'm actually going to go to Canada, or UK is good for me. I don't like the stress of writing to professors. So we're going to do that for you. Thank you very much. You're welcome. Thank you, Dr. Irene. We're so grateful for the time that you spent with us. Do you have any final words for us?
Oh, I had fun. I enjoyed this so much, and thank you. Thank you for the questions. Thank you for your participation and everything. Thank you for taking time out on your Saturday, to invest in knowledge and knowing these things, because they're important. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So
yeah.
So
You're welcome.
You're
welcome.
Thank you. Thank you everyone for joining. I will send you all the links to all the sessions so that if you want to watch them again, you can watch them. And then we'll send you that summarized report. We have something as well for people who want to actually, because Irene, you find people that actually they decided to study biochemistry because they couldn't get into medical school, but really their passion is to study medicine. We're not trying to say that you should give up on your dreams. So I have certain people as well who studied biochemistry, microbiology, that went ahead to go and study their medicine and their pharmacy, and they're going to come and talk to you about how you can make that transition as well. So that, we're not just conscripting you to saying it's only master's or PhD. Remember, there's so much that you can do. And, matter of fact, if you studied abroad, you can't actually go to medical school without having a first degree. So if you're in that boat, count yourself lucky that you haven't really wasted your time. It actually pre-qualifies you to be able to go to medical school or pharmacy school, because you can't, unlike Nigeria, you cannot just, Nigeria, after your secondary school, you can just go and study medicine or pharmacy. It's not like that over here. So even if you're doing a bio degree or a course, we're bringing people so that you not waste your time and you not waste your resources, and you know exactly what you need to do. If you want to if you want to go ahead and go and study your medicine or your pharmacy, PhD is not the only way. Masters is not the only way. There's so many things that you can do with that as well. So look out for that information whenever we bring it out. Or people are saying that they want to do. See, people, go to medical school. There's money there. Please, we need people to help us cure cancer. I'm telling you, all of us will be working synergistically. I'll be doing vaccines. Dr. Irene will be creating energy. Somebody else is going to be finding how cancer is multiplying, so that you, the doctors, can help us remove it in time. So definitely, it's all about, getting everybody where they need to get to. That's why I started Staying Bio, and we're definitely going to help you with that as well. Any other? Yeah, some MDs are looking. Yeah, true. Some MDs are looking for PhDs as well. That's true. Someone actually asked me that question too, and there are some MD PhD programs too. So we'll talk about that whenever we come up with it. A lot of MDs doing molecular biology. So there, okay, I'm glad that you guys, are going to find that useful. So I'm definitely going to, that's my next project now. I'm going to start looking, I already have some people that are happy to tell you, especially pharmacy and medicine, I would start looking for how to tie that together for you. All right, we're gonna let Dr. Irene go now. And we thank you guys for joining. Thank you so much. We'll see when we see. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye. Let me stop recording.